This is Jimmy Burns from Malvern, Ohio, and you're listening to Barbecue Central.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Welcome to the really big Barbecue Central show. This is the show that talks about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling, originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evenings. Live fire fun and frivolity show. If you would like to get in contact with the show this evening, or you would like to follow the show during off-show hours, here's how you do all that.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening on the show tonight, in case you didn't get the newsletter. Coming up in about 12 minutes from now, a barbecue icon, author, host, instructor, you name it, he's done it, and he's pretty much the best at it. A Stephen Raichlen, last time in for this quarter. So we will talk about, obviously, the impending holiday coming up a week from this coming Thursday, that being Thanksgiving. We'll make sure that you're all prepared in that instance. We might talk about some outside-of-the-box options, in case you're not necessarily a turkey fan. We'll also talk about side dishes, ways you might want to go about cooking it, any kind of a prep work that might need to be done to this turkey. All that, we will round you up. And then, because it is the only time we will have Stephen Raichlen before the end of the year, we will also talking about the then following holiday season. So whoop-de-doo and dickory-dock, we will talk about Stephen's recommendations on gifts to buy the live fire lover that is in your life. Maybe there's multiple live fire lovers in your life, and you want to make sure you're getting all the best. If you have discretionary income to spend this holiday season, and this is one like no other in recent memory, if you have the few thin guilders that are burning a hole in your pocket, then Stephen is going to give you some suggestions on where best to spend said money and elicit the reactions of joy and reverence from your live fire lover that you're gifting to. Plus, he's got a couple new books that he's working on that are in various stages of editing and or finishing. So all that with Stephen Raichlen, 14 past the first hour. Then we will move 35 past the first hour, third Tuesday of the month. In that section brings a visit from our pal Wes Wright, who we got an origin story from last month, but Wes is back in his traditional capacity as cookoutnews.com's founder, editor, story writer, and overall know-it-all. So we'll talk to Wes about the latest things that have happened in the industry over the last 60 days. That'll bring a close to the first hour, and we will move to the second hour, where we will find for the last time in 2025, and singular tonight. Usually you find the tandem of Hey Grill Hey, A Susie, and Todd Bullock, but tonight we find just Todd Bullock. I don't recall ever a time in the show's history where we have had solely Todd Bullock on the show as a featured guest. But tonight, on November 18th of 2025, we put that one to bed as well. We've had Susie on a number of times by herself, especially in the beginning, before we started mixing in a Triple T, but Triple T pulling singular duty tonight. So much like the impending holidays that we'll talk about, or that we'll talk to Stephen Raichlen with here in just a few moments, we'll talk to Todd about Thanksgiving. We'll talk to Todd about gifts that Hey Grill Hey might offer for the holiday season. And then I thought it would be fun to use perhaps the remainder of the second hour to run back the Hey Grill Hey story, but since we've already done it with Susie many, many years ago, gotten her into the Guest Hall of Fame, why not do a Hey Grill Hey retrospective from Todd's point of view? I don't know how many times, or if at all, that story's actually been told and then documented for the history of live fire, but tonight we will do our best to do an impromptu origin story of Todd Bullock. We're not going to do the whole background on Todd. I'm not saying that that's not important, but it is unique in how Hey Grill Hey started, number one, and then what it's like to be around that genesis and then see it pick up steam. Todd, of course, a well-known CPA before joining the Hey Grill Hey team full-time, so a lot of intricacies and things that aren't traditionally happening in a family trying to make a living, eke out a living, as it were, these days. So interested to get Todd's whole take on that and how he's assimilated into that whole platform and ecosystem that Susie has over there at Hey Grill Hey. So that's how the show's laying out here this evening, 14 past the first hour, or should I say in just a few short moments of Stephen Raichlen, then Wes Wright after Stephen. That'll bring a close to the first hour. Second hour, Todd Bullock. And that will end the show. Don't forget you can follow me socially, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, LinkedIn, all with the handle at BBQ Central Show. And we say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of the video streaming platforms. You can go to facebook.com/BBQ Central Show, or you can watch on YouTube, which is youtube.com/@BBQ Central Show. And as mentioned last week in the new to you segments, although pre-recorded, as I was taking in a live performance of Elf down in E.J. Thomas Hall a week ago in Akron, Ohio, which was great. We are doing the Would You Rather YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, including all guests. And the first one tonight is this: would you rather wear a monitor that beeps when you're lying or beeps when you're attracted to someone? And currently 80% of you are saying you would rather wear the monitor that shows when you're lying or beeps when you're lying. So a lot of you would rather be shown as liars and or charlatans. You don't want any piece of being around somebody you might be attracted to and having that monitor beep. That's too much for you. You believe you can hold your lying in check, or perhaps you don't even care if somebody knows you're lying and then they are audibly alerted to said lie. You just don't want to deal with the whole attraction thing. Certainly understandable either way. And we'll ask all guests here this evening and keep track of how this generates through the rest of the show. And we'll start here tonight, gang. The data is in, and while I remain mostly shocked, perhaps I'm also not mostly shocked. The majority of you in love with Mr. Jonathan's appearance last week. You love the cigar content you're finding on the show. You love the amount of cigar content you're getting on the show. It's a cigar love fest in 2025 with our pal Mr. J. And what seems to be the overwhelming thought here is this: the quarterly appearances seem to be just the right amount of cigar content. Perhaps not as frequently, you would just lose track of it all together, not even be thinking about it. More frequently might be indeed too much cigar content. This is not a cigar podcast by any stretch, although we love to keep tabs on the industry because I like it. And every 3 months seems to be that perfect recurring time frame. 90 days has passed, something new is happening in the industry, something new might be Mr. J's favorite thing to be smoking on. I mean, he works in a huge cigar retail outlet, and he's always trying new things. So why not get his insight and mastery of the cigar world on this show? And here's the other thing. Ton of emails saying, hey, I don't even smoke cigars. But Mr. Jonathan and you make this topic so interesting. Even though I have no desire to smoke a cigar either while I'm listening or going forward or ever in my life. The funny thing is this, I look forward to the topics that you'll be covering during your appearances every 90 days. And I got to be honest, as a content creator, that's saying something. We are generating interest in something you really have no interest in taking part in, that i.e. the smoking of cigars. But the content of the industry, so compelling, you can't turn away from it, and you look forward to it. So that's great. We thank Mr. J, of course, for his part in that whole love affair. And we'll continue to bring it to you in 2026. We have Stephen Raichlen in the green room. Before we get to him, we're talking about smoking pecan pellets. Let me ask you a question. Are you looking for more smoke flavor out of your pellet smoker? Of course you are. I mean, let's be honest. Sometimes it tastes more like a fancy oven. Do you want the stick burner flavor without the stick burner work? Who isn't? Unless you're looking to tend a fire all day and potentially smelling like a campfire for a week. Look no further than smoking pecan pellets. Smoking pecan pellets are made out of 100% pecan shells. That's right. Nothing but pecan shells. No filler, no binder, no artificial flavor enhancers. Your meat will thank you. Your wallet might thank you as well after you realize you're not paying for sawdust anymore. Smoking pecan pellets are a premium cooking pellet, burns hotter, lasts longer. That means your pellet smoker will consume less pellets compared to most other pellet brands. What does that mean for you? More time to relax, less time refilling the pellet hopper. It's practically a mini vacation. Their pellet or their pecan shell pellets have a robust flavor that pairs well with a variety of meats, including the standbys, beef, pork, chicken, fish. But it works great on everything. I did some smoked meatloaf with the pecan shells. Let me tell you, winner meatloaf dinner. Smoked a meatloaf recently? Oh, if you haven't even tried it once, you're missing out on life. Anyway, even your weird Aunt Mildred, who only eats boiled chicken, might actually enjoy food cooked with pecan shells. How about that? Get the smoke, burn the shells. It's a lifestyle, really. Here's a promo code because you want to save money. 10% off your order at checkout. Use promo code BBQ Central because who doesn't love a good discount, especially when it involves delicious barbecue. And the website, smokinpecan.com, SMOKIN, smokinpecan.com. And again, promo code BBQ Central, all one word, for 10% off this order and future orders. An ongoing discount? Sign me up. Stephen Raichlen is the next.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard, makers of Fireboard 2, Fireboard Pro, Fireboard Spark, Fireboard Beacon, and the wireless Fireboard Pulse. When you're using the Fireboard app, if you have total access to all devices anywhere in the world, you can find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232 to have all your questions answered. Oh, we recognize a Jay Beaumont tonight in the instant chat from Underseason. The gents that ranked me 143rd most influential barbecue person in the globe. On the globe? In the globe? For the globe? I don't know. Whatever the hell you're talking about. 143rd, we say, and welcome the Underseason podcast watching tonight, where it might be 10 or 11 o'clock in Australia. In any event, my first guest tonight, an icon in the industry, a host of TV shows, the creator of Barbecue University, a James Beard award-winning author. He's a Barbecue Hall of Famer. He's a Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer. In his last appearance here in 2025, Stephen Raichlen. Stephen, we have a new YouTube poll question of the week. It's called Would You Rather? And we will ask the esteemed Stephen Raichlen, would you rather, Stephen, wear a monitor that beeps when you're lying or beeps when you're attracted to someone?
Beeps when I'm attracted to someone.
Oh, all right. So we don't want to be seen as a liar. 83% of the people would rather wear the monitor that beeps when they're lying. So I'm with you. I would much rather beep when I'm attracted to somebody. Perhaps even a conversation starter to get that ice broken, and who knows what happens from there. A lot of things to talk about here, Stephen, so let's get going. In a week and a few days, perhaps most people's favorite eating holiday of the year stops by. Of course, that's Thanksgiving. So let's break it down in a bunch of different pieces here. It's Tuesday, the week before Thanksgiving. Let's talk about the thing everybody wants to know most accurately. When do I need to get my completely frozen turkey out of the freezer and into the fridge to thaw in time for Thanksgiving cooking?
Well, that obviously depends on the size of the bird, but I go with 12-pound bird, and I try and get them fresh. But if you are buying a frozen bird, I give yourself at least 4 to 5 days in the fridge to thaw it.
So there's a lot of discussion recently. For a long time, I agree with you. Everybody's favorite size or weight has been 12, 13 pounds, maybe 14 pounds. If you have a lot of people coming over, you double up on the 12 to 14 pounder. Go ahead, Steve.
2 birds,
Yeah,
right?
right. So you double up on that, and the thought process is better cooking experience. The bigger ones tend to get a little squirrely. Recently, I've seen not a fallback to, but people showing that they are indeed cooking 18 and 20-pound turkeys and having some pretty good success. So between the two, we know your favorite, but why would you suggest staying away from a 20-pound turkey or something bigger than the 12 to 14-pound range?
Well, I think you have more control with a smaller bird. It cooks more quickly. I think it's easier to time when it's done. Plus, a 20-pound bird, that's a big bird, and it doesn't fit in everybody's grill or smoker. But, I always say if you have success, if you're doing something that you like, you're doing it right. So if you have success with a big bird on your smoker, God bless.
A lot of social media volleying around with brining, especially if you are not dealing with a fresh bird that has not been injected or pre-brined or self-basting or all these other hot button terms we know, where some type of salty solution has been put into the bird. If you get one of those, should you also be brining? Should you forego the brining altogether? Your thoughts?
No, if you get one that is pre-brined, you definitely don't want to brine it, or else you'll wind up with a very salty bird.
Is there no, I guess for lack of a better term, equilibrium reached where if you stuck it in a brine that whatever the salt amount that magically meets in the middle and there's going to be no additional salt transfer into the bird?
I would not take a chance with it.
Indeed. Are you a simple brine guy? Are you a brine guy at all?
I'm definitely a brine guy. Yeah. I'm a simple brine, salt, brown sugar, and bourbon or cognac. Brine the night before. I mean, every year I cook a turkey differently, but that's the one I keep coming back to. And I cook it on a Kamado. I go about 325, plenty of wood smoke. And then this year I'm doing something a little unusual with my bird, and that is once it comes out, I'm heating oil in a saucepan, putting the bird on a wire rack over a roasting pan, and pouring boiling oil over it. So it gives you the crisp spin of a fried turkey, but the smoke and brine of a barbecued turkey. To me, it's a win-win, and you can read all about that on my website, barbecuebible.com.
Is that a melting of Crisco to then be ladled over the top, or do you use a special oil for flavor purposes? What do you do there?
No, just like a canola oil.
Yeah.
Although melted Crisco, that's interesting. Clarified butter, that'd be even more interesting. See, I always get a good idea from you, Greg.
Do you have to use, is it like boiling? Like how hot does it have to be in order to get this crackling of the skin that you're looking for?
350 degrees.
All right.
And by the way, I took my cue from, in Chinese cooking, they do a steamed fish and they put slivered, very finely slivered ginger, garlic, and scallion on top, and then pour the oil over it, and that fries the aromatics. So that was kind of where I got the idea for this, but it does dovetail nicely with a fried turkey and a smoked turkey.
Do they do that to, is it porchetta that they'll do that to as well to get the pork skin all crispy, or is that like pork belly, something like that? I've seen it.
Yeah, I have never heard of doing the frying oil on it, but if somebody wants to try it and report back on social media, or yours or mine, I would love to hear it.
You keep the bird whole, or are we a spatchcocker?
We are not a spatchcocker.
No.
We like a Norman Rockwell-esque bird. To me, a spatchcock turkey looks like it was rolled over by a steamroller, and I don't, come on, we eat with our eyes as well as our palate. Let's give the poor bird some dignity.
Do you carve at the table then? If you're going through that part of it, will you also
of course.
showcase it?
Yeah, that's part of the pleasure, part of the ritual, and being the senior member of the Raichlen family, that devolves to me, and I'm very happy to do it.
Does anybody else even take a stab at Thanksgiving dinner, or no way?
Yeah, every once in a while, our daughter will do it. Now, she's a vegetarian, so I kind of, when she does the dinner, I do bring the turkey just to make sure there's going to be a turkey at the table too.
What's the non-meat Thanksgiving option?
Well, in our family, it's really just side dishes, and we go crazy for side dishes. We do a lot of side dishes, but, I know people have made tofu turkeys and stuff like that. We don't go for that.
If you're not going to do turkey, you're anti-turkey. A lot of people would think also you're anti-Thanksgiving, but maybe it doesn't trip your trigger for whatever reason. Outside of the box options to try instead of turkey if it's not your bag.
So funny you should ask that, because we're doing a series of blogs on the website now, getting ready for Thanksgiving. And number 3 is our web manager, Daniel Hale, does not like turkey. So he's going to address that issue. I would not be surprised if there were a pork shoulder that stood in at the last minute, perhaps a barbecued brisket. That's welcome any time of the year. So stay tuned.
Side dishes. What are your favorites? What will we see in a Raichlen house next Thursday?
Okay, so first of all, got to have cranberry sauce, or sometimes I'll make a cranberry salsa, which is a great condiment. Have to have sweet potatoes, and for that, I like to cook the sweet potatoes in the skins, right on the embers, caveman style. Peel the burnt skin back, and then gets a brown sugar, bourbon, butter topping, and the kids are around, they want to see marshmallows. So, a marshmallow goes on it and a blowtorch. I mean, you got to be traditional. Stuffing, I like an oyster stuffing or a chestnut stuffing. By the way, I never cook the stuffing in the bird. I think it comes out much better. Cooked separately, you get browning on top. It's just weird if you put it in a turkey. Let's see, what else do we do? Mashed potatoes, or since I'm in Miami, we might do mashed boniatos, which are a tropical sweet potato that tastes a little bit like a chestnut. That's a real good one. Roasted, smoked roasted carrots, glazed with butter and sugar, brown sugar. That's always a good one. Smoked pumpkin cheesecake for dessert. You're getting a theme here, right? We're very big into smoke for Thanksgiving.
Sounds delicious. And of course, you probably go to barbecuebible.com and get a lot of these recipes, or probably through various versions of cookbooks that you've put out over the decades and decades of writing all of these great books that you've given to us. So this leads us, as we tie up Thanksgiving, of course, then we have the holiday season of Thanksgiving or Christmas and Hanukkah and all the rest of the holiday season days that are going to be celebrated depending on whatever you're into. So from a gift-giving guide, do you have some things that you're recommending in 2025 for people to buy for their live fire lover?
Well, let's see, not to be too self-serving, but there are my Planet Barbecue spice rubs. They come in nice gift sets. Ditto for the Planet barbecue sauces, which are available on Amazon. Any of my books would make a great present. Why not? And I run this school called Barbecue University. So if you've had a very good year, if you invested in NVIDIA back when it was $50 a share, come on out to give your loved one tuition to Barbecue University. That's always fun too. Other than that, Chef's Temp has some really interesting smokers, blowers to regulate the airflow. We're real big on that. But one other thing, and especially a lot of us are feeling the pinch with the bad economy and the crazy inflation.
Yep.
Homemade gifts, there's nothing more lovely than a homemade gift. And in my books like Barbecue Sauces, Rubs, and Marinades, you find some great recipes for barbecue rubs, put them in ball jars, make your own label. That makes a lovely present.
You had mentioned books as a gift, but Stephen Raichlen, or at least the Stephen Raichlen I know, always involved in, you always seem to got a book or two going. So do you have any book updates while I got you on the line?
I do. I'm actually working on a book that's a real change of pace. It is a memoir, and it basically talks about how a kid from Baltimore got a degree in French literature and then came into this crazy world of barbecue. It gives you the backstory of how I wrote books like The Barbecue Bible and Planet Barbecue, How to Grill. The story of when I taught a class for Howard Stern, when I was on Oprah, and what it was like to be inducted into the Barbecue Hall of Fame. So that's what I've been working on very intensely for the last 6 months. Just got the copy edited manuscript back. So, you never believe it's going to be a book until you actually get the copy edited manuscript back. And that will be out in fall of 26. I'm also working on a book called Barbecue University, which is going to be a book about everything I've learned and taught over the last 30 years in barbecue, oriented around my school at the Alisal Ranch in Salt Bend, California. That'll be out in spring 27.
I'm not looking into anything, or I'm not trying to read into anything, but these books have a feel of we're tying something up. Are you tying up the latest chapter in Stephen Raichlen, or are you tying up a career?
Well, I would say it's the latest chapter, and I'm at a point in my career where I'm looking back as well as looking forward. I won't say it's my last book because every time I say that to my wife, she says, "Yeah, really." And then, of course, something comes along. I'm also working on a history of barbecue project. But, after 30 years in the business, I think it's time for me to just kind of take a look at this incredible journey that I've been lucky enough to take, and where I've been and what I can impart to future generations.
Could you see a point where you're not writing books and maybe you're just doing the television show?
I'll tell you what, I have a really nice sailboat in Coconut Grove, and I can see a point where I spend full time really learning how to sail that sailboat.
How good of a captain are you at the moment?
I can get it. It's a 38-foot boat, and I can single-hand it. I have to single-hand it because Mrs. Raichlen, loves to be on the boat but doesn't want to do any work.
Yes.
So I've been sailing my whole life. This is the biggest boat I've had, and I'm comfortable with that size. And I'll tell you, we live 8 minutes away from the marina. I can hop on my bike and be on the boat in 15 minutes, which is really fun. By the way, often we will just sail the boat out into the middle of Biscayne Bay, drop the anchor, and I would say my last 5 books have mostly been written on that sailboat. So, yeah. And the name of the boat, you want to know what the name of the boat is?
It is
Barbacoa.
Of course it is. Yes. I was going to go somewhere like up in the Cape Cod region, so I'm glad you ended up saving me from looking like a fool. In 30 years of writing book, this is probably a fairly open-ended question here, or one that maybe you can't dial in specifically, but could you point to 1 or 2 things over that 30-year time frame that are watershed moments in live fire, at least to you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So my first barbecue book, Barbecue Bible, was the first time that I got out on the road. And the idea was barbecuing and grilling around the world. And I reprised that idea with my book, Planet Barbecue. Planet Barbecue is probably the book of which I'm the most proud. It was the hardest book I ever wrote. There were times, it was a 4-year project. How on earth am I ever going to get this done? How am I going to travel around the world, meet grill masters in Azerbaijan and Serbia and Brazil and Australia? But somehow I did it. And it's a book I'm very proud of. I'm proud of how to grill. I think that was the book that certainly put me on the map. And that's been translated into 17 languages. But with all of my books, I learned something new. And, kind of my motto in life is you got to learn something new every day. And I think that's what keeps life interesting. And writing books for me has been a great way to learn.
When you're traveling around the globe, the country is different, but the globe is all encompassing. How do you even know, A, who to try and track down to get an interview with or to watch a certain style? And then once you even have the name, how do you make the contacts to make that date?
Boy, at this point, I'm pretty well known around the world, so it's usually just picking up a phone or sending an email. But when I started, just a lot of groundwork, and I would interview professors, food anthropologists, chefs, taxi drivers, believe it or not, were a great source of information, and say, take me to a great barbecue joint. They take me to the tourist spot. I say, no, I want to go where you go for barbecue. And that's how I found Mitla, the home of the steak from hell in Mexico. It's been a great resource. The other funny thing is here in the United States, there's this sort of thing like, I'll go to my grave with my barbecue sauce recipe. I'm not going to share it. But I, on the contrary, have found that when you show interest in what people do, they are delighted to share their knowledge and their experience and their recipes with you. It's been one of the most gratifying things of my career.
Always a pleasure to have Stephen Raichlen here on the show, barbecuebible.com, his website, as we tie up his visits here in 2025. Stephen, as always, appreciate the great visits this year, the content, the insight, the candor, and looking forward to picking it up again in 2026.
Okay, my little beeper's going off for somebody I have great affection for, so you do a fabulous job. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy holidays, and we'll see you next year.
All right, there he is, Stephen Raichlen, right there. Certainly appreciate that. I understood what he was getting at there. In case you didn't, Smoking Joe's Pit Barbecue, making a Howard Stern reference. I am not saying that out loud. And I doubt it. Wes Wright is in the green room. Before we get to him, we will talk about, Stephen Raichlen mentioned, he cooks his turkey in a Kamado cooker. I will take it one step further and mention by name, it is Primo! That's right. That's what I cook my turkeys on, and burgers and hot dogs and steaks, chicken pieces, or whole chickens. You name it. The Primo can cook it, and it's so great. I got a great accessory, not made by Primo, but Chris Young over at Combustion Inc. sent me the big grill gauge. If there's one thing lacking on Primo and then all other Kamado cookers, it's the crappy dial dome thermometer. Combustion now has come out with this thing called the Big Grill Gauge. Chris sent me one to try out. Just sunk it into the Primo. Oh, this thing is going to be great. This will complete my love affair with the Primo cooker that has really taken over during the spring and summer, now fall months, getting into winter now. Because it gives me the ability to do true two-zone cooking. It's the best way to manage a fire, cook with confidence. And we all know by now that you can't get a real two-zone fire in a round ceramic cooker because it is round. Game-changing oval design allows you to bank the coals off to one side. You have completely no coals on the other side. This great indirect cooking experience that you can get. Of course, we know Primo's only sold through dealers, so you must find one near you. Go to primogrill.com for a dealer network. Find the one that's nearest to your house, and then visit it. Touch, feel all the Primo ovals, and then buy the one that best fits your needs. You can follow them on Facebook. You can follow them on Instagram, and I continue to effort a Nick Bauer before the end of the year, but we'll see. He's very busy. We will talk to Wes Wright right after this. Stick around. Be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And we thank Stephen Raichlen for joining us the last segment. BarbecueBible.com is the website. This portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet. Currently available in 3 sizes with a host of accessories. If you're a beginner, if you're a professional, it matters not. It's just a cooker you want to add to the arsenal. Visit pitbarrelcooker.com and tell them the Barbecue Central Show has sent you. My next guest runs cookoutnews.com. This past September, inducted in the Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Fame after being a multiple years Guest Hall of Fame nominee, but never making it in. And he is the show's official business watcher in the live fire space. We welcome back our pal, Wes Wright. After getting to know all about him last month, he is back in his normal, I'm going to tell you about the live fire business side of things. So we appreciate Wes joining us as always. Wes, we have a new YouTube poll question of the week, which is called the Would You Rather YouTube poll question of the week. And it goes a little something like this. Would you rather wear a monitor that beeps when you're lying or beeps when you're attracted to someone?
I'll go beeps when I'm lying.
All right. 70% of the people say they would also like to wear a monitor that beeps when they're lying. I'm in the 30% along with Stephen Raichlen. Would much rather wear one that beeps when I'm attracted to somebody, and that way I don't have to break the ice. It'll just beep. You know, there's no guessing. I just like you, and I want to see, I want to get to know you, whatever. Bunch of different things to talk about here tonight, Wes, and this one just popped up earlier this morning as I was going through some of my alerts. Actually, it was a email by some PR hack for a company called SeerGrills. So for people that are new to the show, they probably have never heard us talk about SeerGrills. For people that are longtime fans of the show, they probably remember us talking about it every now and again over the last year and change. But we really hit it hard when it was originally introduced, the year that all the grilling companies, and I say all of them, like 4 grilling companies went to CES in Vegas one year. That might have been 2 years ago when it was introduced, and it was all the rage. I think it won some awards. It is never materialized in a physical sense in anybody's backyard. And through today's press release, SeerGrills is proud to announce the beginning of shipments for Perfecta, the world's first AI-powered grilling robot. So let's just full stop right there. We turn it over to you. What can you tell us about the product? If you could like do a little bit of a reintroduction, and then we can build in from there.
Yeah, sure. So SeerGrills is focused on, AI with grilling to make the perfect steak or the perfect grilled chicken, different proteins. It sits on a countertop. It's, maybe it's size of we'll say computer monitor, an old school one. And what you get like this cage thing that you load a steak or a cut of meat into. You slide it in there. You can pick a wellness setting, a thickness setting, and then it's supposed to do all the work for you. It has infrared burners on each side, and then you hit go, and it's supposed to just spit out the perfectly cooked protein for you. Like you said, I think they might have been CES even multiple times. I'm curious if they'll go again this year in January when, now that they're shipping units.
Have you had any firsthand experience with it, or know anybody that even has one?
No, I've never, seen one, heard of one, someone doing one, or seen like a video even with like not a controlled setting, So, and like you, did you follow up on that? There was an event that was supposed to be a launch for it. Did you follow up with that?
So I was gonna go, and then they did a really bad job of getting any type of advance notice out. So I think the event was on a Wednesday or a Thursday, and they emailed me that Monday. We're like, hey, we'd love to have you downtown. I think it was in Manhattan. They had rented some place out, and they were going to show it how it works and all that fun stuff. And they were going to pay for everything, like get me there, transport me. And it was an up and back the same day. And I had just had, other commitments for weeks and weeks before that I wasn't going to certainly, from a work standpoint, I wasn't going to ditch those. So I could tell my boss I got to go to New York City and, watch some grill and then hope I had a job when I got back. So I said, hey, appreciate the invite, a little late notice. And, some things that were coming together, different times, blah, blah, blah. So we understand. And, next time we do one of these things, we'll give you some more advance notice. Did you get an invite?
I got an invite, and unless it went to spam, I replied like, hey, tell me the details, because I'll see if I can squeeze it in, because like you, I got it really late. Never heard back, so I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, maybe I used up the, it was not enough notice thing, and then she had enough hearing about that. They have a really great promotional video. It's very entertaining. It appears that this thing is the second coming of whatever a savior would be in the barbecue and grilling world, as far as needing zero skill, being able to punch a few buttons, take a few measurements, and what appears to be done in record time is a perfectly cooked rare, medium, whatever steak. And, through the AI, it's moving the burners in and out to make sure that the cook is perfect. But I've never seen one outside of, as you said, in a controlled setting or something that appears to be only going to be showing how great this thing is versus what the real life might be. Any idea where the price point is on this thing?
Yeah, I think it's around $6,000, isn't it? From what I recall.
Oh, let me
maybe a touch under, like it's like 5.9 or something like that.
Yes, introductory price is $5,990. So I mean that's a pretty sizable investment for something like this, although it does appear to be loaded with technology.
Yeah, I think it's a cool product. I think it's amazing that they can do that. I don't know if it's like you create this and then that technology kind of trickles down into lower price points where it might be more attractive to people. But I think it's amazing that they're doing it. I don't know how many, that's out of my price range for a steak cooking machine, but we'll see who buys one. It'd be a neat gadget if you're like a billionaire and you say, hey, watch me cook this steak in 2 minutes, right?
Are you shocked that it took this long to send them out?
I mean, just because we've been hearing about them for years, I feel like, but maybe they just had to dial in that technology to get it just right. But I would have expected it to be out sooner. It doesn't help that, the grill market's kind of terrible too. So it's not the best time to be releasing products.
So at the end of the news release, they're talking about how they're taking orders for the next round, which is going to be shipped next spring. Should they not be able to continually pump these out at this point, or do you think they're trying to not overproduce and protect both from a potential non-demand aspect and also to limit any financial exposure?
Yeah, my guess it's financial exposure. They don't want to, it costs a lot of money. Is my guess to manufacture these, so they probably don't want to front the cash until they have more orders coming in and they sell through a certain amount.
Is this smart for them to just always? Are they also creating fake demand potentially?
If it gets in the hands of the right people, and it becomes one of those gadgets that people really want and want to show off, sure. But yeah, it's contrary though to when you release a new grill and have a full blown release and everyone can order them. I think every company though kind of wants to sell out in some regard, right? So they can just create that demand, and it's like the VIP ropes in front of a club and nobody's inside.
We going to be talking about this unit next month?
If we can see like a real life video, we'll talk about it.
I'm waiting for somebody to post it on their Instagram. Yeah. Like if I ordered one, like you can bet I would be posting that thing all over the place, hoping I could secure some kind of influencer deal with SeerGrills at this point, try to recoup some of my $6,000 back. But we'll see what happens here over the next 30 days. Let's transition to some Traeger talk. I want to lead with how they mentioned they're doing away with direct-to-consumer in some shape or form. However, I'm wondering if I shouldn't be more concerned that through the first 18 days or so of November, the stock has closed sub $1 per share, which to me signals a much bigger issue of potential delisting.
Yeah, that dollar threshold is important to stay listed. And we saw that with Solo Stove's parent company, Solo Brands, at the beginning of the year. They got sub $1, and then they got a notice that they'd be delisted, and it continued to sink, and then they were delisted for a little while. So I'd say if Traeger can't bring it up, in the near future through, they can do things to kind of, combinations make the stock price higher, but I think they'll get a notice from the SEC.
What can they do to make it better? Like they can artificially change it to a degree?
Yeah, so like Solo Brands, what they did is they did a reverse stock split. So you take, let's say you have 1,000 shares outstanding. Now you combine them, shrink them down to 500 shares, and it doubles the share price. So that gets you above that dollar threshold with, a smaller amount of shares outstanding.
Is that just a stopgap? Like, does that catch up to you at some point?
Well, I think it doesn't like instill confidence anytime you get a delisting notice, in investors, and you have to resort to doing that. I think that's a bigger problem, because I know like Solo Stove too, they had a problem with retailers not wanting to take their products. They're like, hey, I see you're, flirting with bankruptcy here. Like, I don't want your stuff.
Do CEOs get fired over that?
Yeah, they can be if they don't, it depends how much you think is just the market at play and you're managing through it, and how much is like your fault that it's, it's kind of like a coach of a football team.
Do you have a take?
I think they do a good job. I think Jeremy Andrus does a good job of managing that company, from a financial perspective, and they have cost cutting measures, and, he's really good at getting ahead of that. So I would think he's safe.
All right. So let's talk about the other thing that I thought about leading with, which was changing focus away from direct to consumer, which has been a big part. Like you can go to a dealer and buy, you can buy online, and it appears maybe you can't buy online anymore.
Yeah, they said that that they're going to completely get rid of selling through their website. So you're going to go to their website. There won't be an option to buy a grill. Instead, it'll give you the option to redirect you to a retailer or retailers to then buy it from them if you want to buy online. So, they were big proponents of direct to consumer, back when they IPO'd, they said that was, a big area of growth. So it's a huge change for them.
How many pellet cooker companies are going through a dealer network, if you will. I know Green Mountain Grill was built on doing dealer network. They were always anti-selling online and competing with the dealers. They were trying to help educate and support so they can educate and support the end user. It seems odd that Traeger's falling into that mindset versus the one they were, so dead set on keeping.
Yeah. It seems like most companies you can buy online, some like work with a dealer for distribution, but what Traeger's trying to do too is they have problems where, they ship it and then those last mile delivery services, you get a banged up grill delivered to your door, right? So what they want to do too is they want to shrink their inventory that they have on hand by having all the dealers and retailers take on that inventory to sell it. We'll see if retailers want to do that. That if I'm a retailer, I wouldn't, but I think that's a big plus for them to try to do it.
Current, which is a W.C. Bradley company, if I'm not mistaken, is bringing a Model P indoor pizza oven to market. What do we like about it?
Yeah, that one was released a little earlier this year. They've been releasing new firmware for it, so it can do more. I actually have one back behind me that I used and liked, and it's at a good price point. It gets really hot for an electric indoor oven. It connects to your phone, and one of the cons when I was using it before and did my review is it couldn't get very low in the temperature range. It could just get really hot. And so that kind of limited if you wanted to do other stuff with the oven, because your counter space is kind of a premium. So they just released some updates for it though, so it can do even more than it could before.
Is it a big footprint? Take up a lot of space?
It's not small. Yeah, it's decent size because you have to fit a pizza inside of it, right?
Do you keep it? Is it something you keep out? You make permanent space for that, or are you lugging it in and out?
I don't like a lot of stuff on my counters, so I lug everything in and out.
So 2 months ago, we talked about Uni's indoor pizza oven. There was an additional indoor pizza oven that you wrote about from Frigidaire. There's others as well. Are we going to see an increase in indoor oven offerings as we get into 2026, or are we kind of at that peak?
I think it's going to keep continuing. It's becoming more of a like pure appliance play. Like, when you see Frigidaire doing it and some other companies, they see opportunity. Some of the more mainstream brands, I bet they'll come out with them. And you're seeing like, there's so many pizza ovens coming out. Like even outside, like Schwenk Grills just released a pizza oven. There's some other, I feel like there's a new pizza oven every other week.
How much more can we accommodate in this market?
I think it's pretty saturated. I think what the problem is too, not necessarily with some of the indoor ovens, but like the outdoor ovens is, I feel like they're not coming out with anything different. It's the same burner design, same stone design, just, it's the same thing over and over and over again. So there's no differentiator. So unless you're like a big brand, like let's say like Yeti came out with a pizza oven and everyone would run out and buy it no matter what. Otherwise, it's kind of a commodity at this point.
Are there a few manufacturers that are making all of the pizza ovens? Like, is there that kind of similarity where Wes and Greg want to go make the G and W pizza oven, and we can get one exactly like what everybody else has because it's the same manufacturer?
I bet you it is. I bet you, these are just like, and that's the thing too, like when you're not designing new features, it feels to me like you're just buying them off the shelf, right? And just white labeling them. And there's no real engineering there, which is a disappointing thing to me.
You wrote about Kingsford changing their packaging sizes, and they seem to be having some retail successes. Well, why does that even matter?
It matters because it shows kind of where the consumer is at, right? Like they have the traditional, the Kingsford blue bags that everyone would buy, but they were seeing less sales of those through Memorial Day. And so to accommodate, they made like the value size, which I buy sometimes at Sam's Club, where it's 2 bags in one, where they have smaller size. And it's showing that they were seeing that consumers want to either buy on value size to save like overall, dollars per quantity, or smaller size so they could just use it for the cook that they're going to do and not have any left over. So it's showing a lot of softness with the consumer in general.
You familiar with pecan pellets?
I've heard of them. I've seen pictures. I've never used them though.
No?
Have you?
Well, they're a sponsor of the show. Of course.
Oh,
yeah. I think I had originally gotten a sample, was it 2 years ago or maybe even 3 years ago when they first came out. I'm not sure. I don't want to say they dropped off because I don't really think they got a real good foothold initially, but there does seem to be some momentum building here over the last 12 months. And they reached out, wanted to do something with the show. Was happy to have them. I was a big fan of the product. I thought there is a bit of a premium from a price standpoint. I think pellets are always widely unrealized how expensive they are across the board for cooking pellets as a fuel, where you're looking at $1 or more a pound, versus when you're looking at charcoal or some of the other more popular fuels. People don't realize how expensive it is until they start realizing how much how many pounds of pellets they're dumping into their hopper during the course of a weekend or a month, whatever it is that they're cooking. But the few things that I noticed about these are just the way they feel in your hand. There is a fairly robust smell, like in a good way, that they are emanating, just unburned. And then from a smoke output standpoint, I do believe that they are a much more apparent smoke flavor profile putter-oner than you would find in normal wood pellets. I think with pellet cookers, the bitch, if there is one, is always, there's not enough wood smoke because of those wood pellets and how they're burning. This does seem to change the game a little bit, where you can definitely know there's a smoke presence.
Okay. Yet, where have they been distributing out of? Is it like online, or with any retailers?
SmokingPecan.com is the only place I know you can get them at the moment. So Smoking Joe's Pit Barbecue is their wholesale manager, and he's in the chat room here, so I don't know if they're looking to get into retail outlets at some point or not. But really cool box. It's got a little pour spout, so self-contained, this and that. Again, a little bit more on the expensive side if you're looking at pellets, but I think when you're looking at the overall value, it certainly brings something to the game that other pellets are. And it's not wood pellets, it's just pecan shells that have been made into pellets, and it's pretty unique as well. What are you writing that we should be ready to go to cookoutnews.com to read?
One, I'm going to write something on SeerGrills, but then we've got some more acquisitions in the retail space. That's been going on over and over and over again. So I got that. And then I'll have a couple of reviews and a gift guide I'm hoping to get out before Thanksgiving. So.
You going to go to HPB this year?
I'm going to try to make it. Yeah. Not solidified yet, but I'm going to try to make it down there.
All right. Back in it's back in New Orleans?
Yeah.
Maybe we go. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm 50. There was a lot of cool people there last year that I missed out on. So I don't know if that means they don't come back this year, or if everybody comes back because it's New Orleans and that's a cool place to go. I've never been there, so could knock that off the deck as well, but we'll see. All right, now we're talking with Wes Wright from cookoutnews.com. You can find him here once a month. You can also read his website, cookoutnews.com, all you want, and stay up with the latest trends and business here in the live fire community. Wes, always appreciate the time, and we'll see you to wrap up the year in November.
Sounds good. Thanks, Greg.
Wes Wright. Indeed. So, SeerGrills dominating the conversation. Please tell me somebody out there had the $6,000 and you bought a Sear grill. You are invited to be a guest on the show for, little man, stay down, little man, stay down. You're invited to be a guest on the show to talk all about your experience. Would love to hear it. Love to know if it's worthwhile, all that fun stuff. All right, we are a little over So stick around. We'll wrap the first hour, and then we'll get into the second hour. We'll be right back. Hey. What are you doing, little man?
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Well, we got little man running around. Little man. The little man. Come here. Come here. Oh, and Stan the man? Little man and Stan the man are now here. They can shut off the computer at any second. They're not going to pee on it, though. This I know. All right, little man is now laying on the piss cover box. These two are always getting into it. These are the two Maine Coons. The two new Maine Coons, not to rhyme. Little man. Little man. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here, little man. Come on. Yeah, well, they're not dogs, right? Anthony Parlaman, don't let them whiz on your computer. Indeed. All right, we're a little over. Let's go ahead and point to the second hour, where we will find a Todd Bullock interview at some point. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show right here on the Barbecue Central Network. Stick around. We'll be right back.